You know, I used to think I was dumb, but I discovered that I'm not dumb at all. No, I just suffer with a developmental disorder characterized by an ongoing pattern of one or more of the following types of chronic symptoms: attention difficulty, hyperactivity, and impulsiveness. Because I have ADHD!
That's the problem. Everybody's dancing. Yeah, I lie, I cheat, and I steal. But at least I'm honest about it. Bully for you. Well, while you're down there, love, whatever happens. No, honey, I just took my bra off. I'm in for the night. Who took my stapler? Soccer moms. Soccer mamas. I did True West with Sherman Helmsley. I bet the board is spelled B-O-R-E-D. Don't talk about the war. Have a nice day. Don't tell me what to do. I'm just a simple caveman, Your Honor. That's not my bag, baby, I swear. And don't call me Shirley. Establishment, you always know what's best. Shake harder, boy. There's doings a-transpiring. The jerk store called, and they're all out of you. No bow would be better than that bow. Oh, baby. Business is about to pick up. In my heart, I know that I'm funny. 5, but it's thick. Such a fine line between clever and stupid. Lieutenant Steve! Lieutenant Steve! Now I'm about to choke you. And don't you dare try to defend yourself. I didn't hear no bell. One of these days, Alice. One of these days. This calls for a little bit of the bubbly. ADHD, ADHD, ADHD. Come have ADHD with me.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. One and all, another fantastic edition of Harry Has ADHD. My name is Harry Turjanian. I am the host of this, a mental health podcast, a journey, if you will, where each and every week I attempt to try and cure ADHD. Unfortunately, this is the 13th week in a row. I have never been able to get to it. I always get a little sidetracked. Also, a lot of people are questioning why I am the authority. I have ADHD. I figure that makes me enough of an authority to cure it. I mean, look, if Robert Kennedy Jr. can become our, attorney general, why can't I cure ADHD? I mean, why is that out of the question? I don't have any worms in my brain, to my knowledge, but I guess I might not know if if that happened. In the midst of all this, guys, I've started late again. What time was I supposed to start this? 5 p.m. Now on the East Coast right now, it is 8:30 p.m. A 20:30 if you use military time, which I had to use, but that's a whole other story. It's funny because in America we call it military time, and we call it military time, and in Europe they just call it European time because that's what they use in Europe. They use it, which is actually a better system. It's another thing we do here that it doesn't make sense why we do it that way. But we're America. A lot of the things we do, we just do ass backwards, and then we figure it out later, or we don't. Now, why did I start so late yet again? By the way, late on top of late. One of my good friends, Josh Grove, who is one of the hardcore fans of this show, and anyone watching this at this point is a hardcore fan. Anybody watching this is a hardcore fan because there are so few of you at the moment. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Xavier's here as well. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'm distracted a little bit because I'm trying to run this thing. This is the 13th week in a row. One of the platforms, which I'm going to try not to mention them. And I'm not supposed to mention them. It will not run. It is a platform that is not of this world. Well, it's of this world, but it's of China. And it will not run without me using... it will not run on Mac. I have to use a Windows emulator. And the emulator stopped working. I had it working. Then I spent all day I had meant to start at 5. I started at 4 trying to get this Windows emulator working. And it did not give me such an opportunity. And I got it. I figured it all out. Took me about 3.5 hours to figure it out in a certain way without spending a crap load of money. I'll leave it at that. It took me a while. The application unable to start correctly. Click OK, and now it just won't work. So that's fun. It was fine before, and then when I went to go live at the last second, it doesn't work. That's a blast. It's a blast. It's a great way. It's not angering at all. It doesn't mess with me. It doesn't make me feel like a failure at all. That I just spent 3 hours. My girlfriend, sick as a dog. She's recovering from neck surgery, sick as a dog, and I have ignored her all day. Not ignored her. I did my best to check in on her, but she needs a little more tender love and care, and I was not able to provide that to her on account of let me get that out of the way. There we go. I was not able to provide that to her on account I was busy trying to get this Windows emulator working. But I thought, once I get it working, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it because I'll have it up and running, and then I won't have to do it next week. And poor thing, I ignored her for nothing. So that'll damper our relationship. I don't know if is it my fault? I have ADHD. Maybe I could have done this quicker. All right. So when you have ADHD, let's break this down. We haven't even gotten on topic. Our topic is ADHD and family, but we'll get to that. When you have ADHD and something doesn't happen, sometimes you get angry at yourself. You get upset. You're like, is this my fault? Did I do this? Could I have done better? I don't know that I could have done better here. Well, there is one thing. Financially, I think I'll leave it at this. Finances would have fixed this situation because instead of trying to do a workaround, I just would have paid some money to get this done. So that's why those podcasters and stuff like Gary Vee and stuff, they got the finest and the best. In fact, if I had that much money, I would just have a producer do all this stuff. And I would just have to show up here. But no such luck. And now when you have ADHD, then I start reflecting on all the poor decisions I made in my life that have led me to not be able to install a Windows emulator without paying a crap load of money. And I got it. I did it. I feel like I did it. I had launched it. I'm still trying to get it to go because I still have faith because I'm still stupid. Because I believe that people are genuinely good. I don't know. That's from the Diary of Anne Frank. I don't know that correlates to this. I think I don't want to say that mine and Anne Frank's suffering are equal because that would be untrue. But she didn't have to deal with a Windows emulator. I'm just saying facts. All right, let's move on from that. Let's try to. I'm gonna have to get this. Yeah, I may have to do this on the phone. I did everything I could so that I wouldn't have to film this on a phone. And at the end of the day, how am I doing this? Like an animal with a phone in a cradle. All because, God forbid, I don't do this. I won't go viral. I'm not going viral. There's 15 of you. And yet I feel this pressure. Hey, sorry I'm late. Anthony, late? How can you be late? I didn't announce when the show is on, Anthony. Don't feel bad at all. I make no announcement. The only person who gets announcements, by the way, is Josh Grove. Because he's a super fan. They're all super fans. I just happen to have his phone number. And if the last 2 times I promised him that I would do the show, I said I'd be on at like a certain hour, and then it doesn't happen. Today, I said I'd be on in 15 minutes, and then finally he texted me. He just went nope and shook his head. So I don't know. I might have lost Josh Grove. Let's check on Josh Grove because last time he said I thought you were going to come on, and I fell asleep. So I have no idea if he's on. I'm going to text him. I'm on. This is how very intimate. I'm going to use the word intimate. My fan base is very small, intimate fan base where I'm literally texting people to let them know I'm on. I don't think that's how they meant television to work. I don't think Jimmy Fallon individually texts everybody. So Anthony, you're not late. Xavier, nobody's late. Nobody's getting demerits over on Instagram. We've got a couple people. I don't see that they've joined here, but I mentioned another platform. Well, we're done. I don't care. I mentioned another platform, and they don't like it when you mention another platform. So who gives a shit? Let me try to get TikTok up and running because God forbid I don't. God forbid, and then we can finally get this started. So I wish I could share the screen with you to show you what a nightmare. First of all, I got to figure out how to flip this thing because for some reason It has it set up so that I'm like, it's mirrored, which I hate. Why would you want that? Why would you want the option? And there's a little thing there that says flip, but it's not flipping to service. It's under service. Is it under service? No. Is it under interact? No, it's not under interact. It was under a weird thing here, if I recall. Goddamn, in front of you. I did everything I could to avoid this, right? I did everything I could to avoid this. I did all the work, and yet it didn't work out. I did all the work. All the work. I'm taking this off the cradle. And that sucks, man. It sucks when you do the work and you still something gets in the way, and but nobody cares. That was the thing I grew up with when with ADHD. That was the thing that was the hardest for me, because there was always this this stuff that slowed me down. All these things slowed me down. It always took me more time, and it always was hard, and it always, like, it hurt not to get things done. I was disappointed in myself. And at the end of the day, my knowledge to myself was nobody cares. Nobody cares. And they don't care. And that's, let's see, let's flip it. No, am I going to spend this whole show trying to flip this thing? I could Google it. I'm not doing it. I'm going to do this the hard way. Oh, TikTok. I hate you so much. I hate all of them. I hate all of you so much, the app. Not you, the listeners. You guys are great. You guys are great. But why on earth would you want me to go live backwards? Why would you want to do that? Is that a metric system thing? Am I really going to spend this entire show doing this? Who cares? You know what? Why does it matter? Nobody's watching me on TikTok. Dual cameras, no practice mode. I'm going to do this in real time with you people, so you understand. This is why I was 4 hours late. Moderators, marked viewers, don't even know what that means. Live setup for client acquisition. Client acquisitions for what? This is TikTok. This is social media. There's people kicking each other in the balls. Video quality, it's not under video quality. I'm going to do the audience control. I can't imagine that it's under audience control. Live GIFs. I don't want live GIFs. I don't want live GIFs. I don't want any of that. Comment, live recordings, content, AI. Oh, God. Oh, God, I'm so close to smashing this phone. I think that's how I ended up getting a new phone, by the way. I was frustrated with something else, and I smashed the previous phone. And I remember I did this last week, and this is why I have to write everything down, and this and that, and this. Yeah, live center. Flip it. Do I want to flip it? All right, no, that's it. This is where it is. I'm done. I can't spend any more time on this. Oh, God, TikTok, I hate you. And live on another device. How can I be live on the other device? It's not working. You told me it's not working. Oh, God. So now let me give you. All right, welcome to Harry Has ADHD. This might be the worst way I've ever started. This is the worst one because I'm legitimately furious because I did all the right things. I did the right things. I got to the stuff early. I started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I fixed this problem. I tested it. I guess you can't go live. Maybe the thing I should have done was to go live and test it live, but I didn't do that. Okay, next time I have to do that. How much do I have to do? How much does a man have to do to be on the air? Don't Google, says Sean Grayson. No, I will. I don't. I refuse to Google. I'm an American, damn it. I'll figure it out on my own, or I just won't. Yeah, I would Google. I'm not, I would Google if we weren't together. Here we go. Josh, I want to start a business where I pull a banana boat with a pontoon. I'm a business monkey. I don't get a pontoon. You want a pontoon? Why? What's a pontoon now? See, Josh, you're throwing me. I forget which one the pontoon is. I know it's a boat. Is it like one of those Vietnam vet boats? A pontoon boat? Yeah, it's a pontoon. Okay, it's like a little floating thing that usually they'd use in Vietnam. Okay, let's just start the show properly. I apologize. I'll deal with all that later, but I really did the right thing today. And it didn't matter. I ended up starting late and didn't achieve my objective. And then my girlfriend sat there eating soup by herself watching Netflix. Although it did help me get out of having to watch another period piece. She loves the period pieces. She loves the period pieces. They make me sad and depressed. I don't want to see anything. It's weird. I don't want to see anything involving, times where there weren't bathrooms. I don't know what you'd call the period. The Salem. What is the Salem witch trials? When did that take place? The Salem witch trials. I don't want anything where the women are wearing the bonnet. Legitimately, don't want it. Don't want to deal with it. I don't know why that's my least favorite time period to deal with. But she's watching some show about it's literally about some show about some broad that can't eat. And they brought in like a nurse or something to find out why she don't eat, but she's still alive. And somehow somebody made 6 episodes out of this. Victorian age. Yeah, I'm not into the Victorian age stuff. Is that the Victorian age? It's the poor people's Victorian age. I might watch some. I'm not a fan. I might watch the I don't know. She's also watching. She does love the Victorian age, I think, because she's watching that other one about. It's not Downton Abbey, but it's the one where the rich people, some broad, or the Gilded Age. Some broad is trying to get into high society. Thank you, Anthony. I don't like the Victorian thing, and then I don't know. It drives me nuts. So I got out of that thanks to this, but I've not accomplished my goal, and I won't be famous. So there you go. I won't go viral because I can't get online on TikTok, because I don't have a Windows emulator, because I don't have money to pay for a proper one. And there you go. There you go. How much? I don't know. I'd start a GoFundMe, but just based on the numbers of this podcast, that it would be very sad. I wouldn't be able to get a Windows emulator, but I might be able to get a meal. Not even at McDonald's. It's expensive. I might be able to get a meal. I think Wendy's got one of those good $7 bag things. Anyway, okay, let's start the show. Victorian age is only fun on Doctor Who because he time travels and there's aliens. Yeah, but he gets in and he gets out, I think, right? He's not always in the Victorian age, is he? I don't know. I don't watch Doctor Who. I'm not a sci-fi guy. Nothing against it. Nothing against it. No judgment. Watch what you wanted to watch. How high am I on that? All right. The sound is good. Okay, so let's start with the show properly. What was our topic? I don't remember. Let's go look it up. That's why I write things down, folks. That's right. ADHD versus family. That's the topic this week. It's we're talking about the roller coaster of dealing with ADHD within your family and the people who love you, but sometimes they just don't get it. They don't get you. They don't understand certain things like, you forgetting birthdays, half-finished projects, things like that. Why it takes you so long to do stuff. Although also like they take advantage of it too. My dad, when you write about something taking so long to do stuff, one of my biggest pet peeves, whether it's work or family, is when someone asks you to do something and then and they go, why didn't you do that? It only takes 20 minutes. Go fuck your mother's ass. It only takes 20 minutes. If it only took 20 minutes, I would have gotten it done in 20 minutes. You understand? So it didn't take 20 minutes. You think I want to count trailers for an hour and a half? Don't you think if I could have gotten it done in 20 minutes, I would have gotten it done in 20 minutes? You think I want to sit there doing it? My goodness. Anyway, but the family though, yeah, because my dad would do that. My dad is. Did I mention I hate my dad? Has that come up on this podcast? True jerk off. Shout out to my mom, who has proven herself, who really did an about face. It is really a heel professional wrestling thing, because for a long time I was upset at my mom, who was nuts. And then my dad, proved himself to be a real prince. But we don't have to get into that. But just so you know, we will talk about my dad. My dad was the biggest time suck of anybody with ADHD. For anybody who has ADHD, because my dad was one of those guys who, once he can rely on you, he goes out of his way to drag people in. I don't know if you have family members or friends like that. They got to drag you into their stupid problems. They always got to drag you, and they can't figure it out on their own. I hate that. I hate the thing where, especially if you're living with family, where it's like, hey, have you seen my shoe? Like, no, I haven't, and I just don't. I know I have not seen your shoe. And what they're really saying is, can you help me look for my shoe? And then, of course, they look for it for 2 minutes. You stop what you're doing, and then they find their shoe when they actually start looking for it. And you're like, well, thank you for involving me. I contributed nothing to that process, and all it did was completely derail me. So thank you for involving me in that. But, family can, it can be a hassle, man. It can be a hassle in the fact that they don't understand it, and they don't do anything to alleviate it. Like, Lord knows I've explained it to my dad, but he don't want to hear none of that. He doesn't want to hear that. A lot of family don't want to hear about your mental health issues because then it would require them to address their mental health issues. So my dad would have to address his narcissism and bipolarism, and my mom would have to address everything because she's out of her mind. She's a little crazy, but she's street smart, which I like about my mom. She's one of those women, somehow street smart, somehow will get it done. And yeah, there's plenty of jokes in there. Shout out to Ray Wagner, who always jokes about my mom being a whore. Now, I don't know why he does that. It's inappropriate. I think it's wrong. I don't know where that comes from. My best guess would be all the times that I've accused his very conservative father of being a closeted homosexual because he's a Trump supporter. But that's neither here nor there. You know what? It doesn't matter. It's like Israel and Palestine. Doesn't matter who started it. We should just stop. We should just stop. How did it start? Because his father was in the Navy, and I suggested that maybe his father was the inspiration for the Village People song in the Navy, and also the song YMCA. And then I created a backstory because I have ADHD and I'm a creative person who wastes his creative energy. I may have created a backstory where I said his father was the inspiration for the song YMCA, but he was the only man who's ever been kicked out of the YMCA for making people uncomfortable in the steam room. But anyway, sounds like a great friendship. It is. Ray Wagner is one of the best people I know. He created that little logo back there that Harry has ADHD. That's all his work. So shout out to Ray Wagner, who doesn't really have a social media presence. I wouldn't know. I think it's not Ray Wagner because somebody else has it. Some other guy who collects trains or something. I don't know. It's just sitting on the domain name Ray Wagner. Let's see what's going on. Ray Wagner. Let's see what's going on. Ray Wagner. When you put in Ray Wagner, Ray is a public figure. He's on the radio, so I feel comfortable. Ray Wagner, producer. Oh, he's got the first one, IMDb. No, he's not. There was a producer born in 1925. Let's see who has raywagner.com. Or what's his Instagram? You know what? What am I doing? Ray doesn't want all this. Okay. But the case in point, well, actually, let me look up because there was a reason I started this. It wasn't to rag on Ray. It was to see who owns at Ray Wagner. Let's see. At Ray Wagner on Twitter. Let's see. At Ray Wagner on Twitter. Oh, no. Ray has it on Twitter. Did he get it? What was the Instagram? Maybe it's on the gram. Let's see on the Instagram if my friend Ray Wagner. See, this is the type of AD. I'm supposed to focus on my show. Here I'm Googling to see if Ray Wagner has his own Instagram. At Ray Wagner. Let's see on Insta. Well, what's his thing? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, on Instagram he doesn't have it. He has notraywagner.com on Instagram, but he's a very talented graphic artist. Go over to Not Ray Wagner. But while we're here, since I already started this, let's go over to raywagner.com, raywagner.com, and see who's over there. Oh, nobody. raywagner.com. Is anybody? Nobody's on it? Let me see if I could buy it. Maybe I buy it for his birthday. Let's see. As soon as I get done with this window emulator, that's another thing I'm never going to do. I'll look into it. Maybe I'll buy it for his birthday. Shh, don't tell him. All you 4 or 5 people listening, don't tell Ray Wagner that I'm going to buy raywagner.com. And then I'm going to take that site and then we all remember that song somebody said, In the Navy or YMCA? They're both great songs. By the way, huge Village People fan. And by huge, I mean I like the 4 songs they did. Macho Man. Speaking of family, I remember my tia Dora would I had a memory of Dora. She's still alive. I love Tia. I haven't seen her in a while. I should, and that's on me. But So I remember this was like 1987 or something. We were listening to the radio and Macho Man came out, the Village People song Macho Man. And I remember her talking to my mother in Spanish. So I won't do it in Spanish, but she said, look at this crap that they're playing on the radio. They used to write beautiful songs, and now they got this bunch of singing this bullshit. They used to write beautiful love songs, not this shit. And yeah, so there we go. Anyway, family and ADHD. I've tried to explain it to the relatives that understand it. A couple of them do. A couple of them don't care. You find they don't give a shit. They don't care. Everybody wants to do what they want to do about it. But I don't know. I try to explain anything to immigrant parents, especially. They don't buy. These are people who don't want to take medication and pour Robitussin on a broken arm. And my mom's from Ecuador. I'm lucky that every time I get a sore throat, she doesn't like chop the head off a chicken and make a stew out of the bones or something. We just, as a culture, as a Latino culture, we just stopped turning off all the appliances when there's a thunderstorm outside. That just happened within the last 2 years. I think finally that superstition died out in all the Latino relatives. I think with the invention of flat screen TVs, finally, your grandma didn't run around yelling and screaming at you to shut off the TV in the house. But when it's ironic that, my dad doesn't comprehend mental illness because he's very mentally ill, also emotionally unstable and bipolar. And as kids, we would also have to deal with his moods, and he never understood that. We'd absolutely have to deal with his moods. I remember if he was in a bad mood, he would just take it out on us in weird ways. I don't mean physically beating us. That might have been better because he's a bit of a talker and he's annoying. I really would have rather the physical beating rather than the emotional thing. I remember us watching. We were just watching, minding our own business. He was upset about something that happened. Who knows what failed in his life. And like a true man, he decided to scream at his own kids because we were watching wrestling and he didn't like wrestling. And instead of just going, hey, my kids are enjoying themselves, at least someone in this house is happy, my dad decided to start screaming, turn off that, I don't want that violence in my house. Professional wrestling. I don't want that violence in my house. We're just enjoying life, minding our own business. Nobody was more verbally violent than my dad. Not very physically violent. My dad beat us, I think. I would give, he wasn't a physically abusive guy. My dad beat us about, if I can count them, probably a handful of times. Maybe 5 times he physically beat us, which is the right amount, by the way. That's the right amount of beating your kids, I think. 5 is enough where I don't think it's overload and it's not physically abusive, but it's just enough to let you know there's consequences. So I think in that sense, he did a good job. 5 is enough. 5 is like getting your driver's license renewed. You just every once in a while, just to let, it's like a shift in hockey. You don't need to come out there and, but you take your stick, get it in there just to let them know you're around and that you got to behave yourself. You got to behave yourself. And so, okay. So, a family is, they don't get it. They don't always get it. And my dad, of course, a big hypocrite. Yelling and cursing. I don't want that violence. And nobody was more emotionally violent than my dad. I don't want that violence. By the way, also my dad was he's a religious guy, a churchgoer who curses up a storm. Nobody had more of a foul mouth than my dad. And then also would send me and my brothers to church. My grandfather would have to drive us to church every Sunday, and my dad wouldn't go to church. He would just send us to church, which is a wildly hypocritical thing. Now, his logic, this was my father's logic, by the way, that my father's logic was that because he filmed weddings for a living, he technically was in a church all the time. So he didn't have to go to, that's the explanation he gave us. He didn't have to go to church, right? Because I'm already in a church, but you're working at the church. You're not doing religious services or learning. So that doesn't count. It doesn't count. Is your dad good at forms? Is he good at forms? Of course not. No, of course. He's an immigrant. He'd pass that on along to me. I have no idea if my dad is good at forms because he never bothered to try them. He would just pass them along to me because I was a straight A student and then act like whatever the form is. He's very lazy with that. My dad would like, an easy pass, summons or whatever they'd call it. You just pass it along and that's one of the many things that occupied our time. But he was my dad, a hypocrite in any sense of the word. So of course he's not going to get any psychological help, which I would tell him that he has issues. He should go to therapy. And then he'd just bring up my mom and how crazy she is. And I would have to explain to him, yes, mom is crazy, but you are also crazy. Both of those things could be true. You could both be crazy, and maybe that's the reason you were married, because no one could put up with either of you until you both got divorced. But it's just astonishing that he would send us to church without going. His logic was, I'm in a church, but you're working at the church. That doesn't count. You're not serving God by filming a wedding that you're getting paid for by, Also, there are various churches. They weren't even his church. He's not Catholic. He'd be in a Catholic church half the time. That don't count. I don't think. Not according to the Catholics, anyway. You can't. That would be like, you can't. That doesn't count. My dad, I go to weddings all the time, so I'm already in a church. That's like saying that because you're the janitor of a university that you're getting a proper education. That's not the same thing. But as I sit there and I wonder about, like, there's a lot of, I'm not a religious guy, and there's a lot of weird. I met a lot of people in my life who are a little bit, we pick and choose with the religion. We pick and choose with it. I dated a Muslim girl. She was Muslim. But a lot of people aren't aware of this. The different levels of practicing Muslims. It's like Catholicism. You got the people who are, genuine. They practice it word for word, and they don't eat meat on Fridays. And then you got the Catholics who, they're out there hanging and banging, drinking and fornicating, and then Sunday you go in there for confession. You're all good for the week. It's like getting your dental cleaning, like for your sins, which works for Catholicism. The rules aren't. I don't think the rules are as murky with Islam. But Islam, why am I pronouncing it? I'm trying to be authentic, and now I'm over authenticating things. Islam. And so she was Muslim, but she was, I guess, not that Muslim, because she was still having sex with me, and we weren't married. She was having sex with me. She would drink on occasion, but if we went to a restaurant, she was very adamant about not eating pork. That was her line. That was her. More power to you, but I don't understand how it could work. I remember Todd Barry had a great joke. One of my favorite jokes Todd Barry ever had. Todd Barry's a comedic genius. Again, I'm going to plug somebody who has more followers and more of a successful career. If you get a chance to see Todd Barry. But he goes, I saw a guy walking by with a weird hat on, and I realized he had a yarmulke, but it was a yarmulke with a drawing of a watermelon slice, and it was his fun watermelon yarmulke. He goes, I think if God is fine with your fun summertime watermelon yarmulke, he'd probably be fine with no yarmulke. Yeah. I butchered that. Only Todd Barry can do that. I'll pull it up, and I can't pull it up. I'll get banned and sued by Todd Barry. And then it'll be awkward when we run into each other. What did you say? My mom used to send me to church with my, this is Anthony here. My mom used to send me to church with my auntie, her big sister. When auntie died when I was 11, church pretty much stopped. God damn, I'm not laughing at your auntie dying, but just the notion of your mom going, well, you don't got a ride? All right, because I ain't going. Anthony, why didn't she go? Was she religious, or maybe she was anti-religious? Did something happen? I don't want to get into things, but did she date a priest? She banged the priest? That would be awkward. And I only say that because I think we have some evidence that my mom did bang a priest. That was one of those things that did come up. My mom did, no, she just liked sleeping in. The worst reason not to seek salvation from your Lord and Savior is this. You're like, and you know what? The church, by the way, the church figured that game out, because if I walk by the churches, I never go in. I haven't been into one in a long time, because even at weddings, by the way, even when I get invited to weddings, I'm not going to the church. You're not making me do that. I'd have to really like you, and even then, my friend David Lee got married. Oh, that reminds me, I still have to edit his wedding. Like I started it, and then I started it, and then the Windows emulator didn't work, and I still have to properly edit David Lee's wedding. He's already paid me for it, paid me up front. It's one of those weird things where someone pays you up front, and you're like, oh, damn it. Well, there goes my excuse. But I will get to that, amongst many things. But I will not, even when I get invited to a wedding, I'm not going in to the church. You're not making me sit through that. I don't, especially when I know you're not that religious. If people aren't, like really, you're gonna get married and you're doing a full Catholic mass, bro? I was there when you hooked up with those two cheerleaders and got chlamydia twice. I was there. You're getting married? She's wearing all white. We met her at a Hooters restaurant. She was a waitress, and her tips were good. She was a stripper over at the Go-Go Rama, and now she's wearing all white. All right, I guess. But it's wild. People have their own religious views on stuff, or what their line is very interesting. The girl I was with, we were, she was sexually active with me. That's for sure. And I think we went more than the biblical sense. I mean, I don't know. I haven't studied the book. I don't know what the Quran says about, how I treated her, because it was filthy in a nice way, in a loving way. We made love. Maybe I'll take it back. We made very aggressive love with instruments and toys. Let's put it that way. We made love. We made love in a way that would, I guess, get us kicked out of Utah. Let's put it that way. I took good care of her, and didn't work out because, we don't have to go into why it didn't work out. But she was a lovely gal. The whole point is this. I think nothing but fondness for her. Wonderful person. My point is, I'm getting off track here because I got all sullied about my past. Can't post comments to some destinations. What happened here? What are we talking about? Oh, is it? Oh, that's like, what are we talking about? I didn't post any. All right, whatever. Anyway, sorry, distracted. Yeah, Anthony gives me a thumbs up. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody else's parents make them go to whatever church. So the point is, my ex was, she broke those boundaries, because I can't imagine that's in their good book, that it's, hey, getting oral, first thing in the morning from your boyfriend is, doing 69. Probably not the ideal decision of the prophet. Let's put it. I'm trying not to be offensive here. At the end of the show, we are going to have a contest where we draw the image of Muhammad. You think that'll get me kicked off? But nothing but respect for her. That was her choice. And that was interesting to me because, the only boundary that I ever saw her maintain, I think she did fast and all that, but the only boundary, she did participate or celebrate. I don't know if you celebrate Ramadan. And Eid and all those things, but it was the pork, and I forget. I just thought I was just dating a quote unquote regular gal from Istanbul, and then the next thing I know, she's getting all flustered. She's like, "Is there any bacon in that?" My friend Kenny and my friend Ray, actually, speaking of Ray Wagner, they had a roommate. I'm not going to mention the guy's name, but he was a stand-up comic, and he was of the Jewish faith, and he was, I think, Orthodox Jew. He took it very seriously because I remember they got into some fights because he was upset. He was very upset about the idea that in the refrigerator that they put the meat and cheese on the same level that they're supposed to. Some people take that so seriously because I guess if you're super kosher, you're not supposed to mix dairy and meats together for some reason. I don't know why. I forget. Why can't you mix dairy? All right, let's see. Let's go over to Google. Why can't or let's just put in Jewish people. Jews. It always feels weird to write Jews even though it's technically an okay term, it's been used so terribly that it does feel uncomfortable to just write choose. And then when you can't, let's see what happens, by the way, when I write, why can't Jews? Here's what Google finishes. Eat pork, eat shellfish, eat milk and meat together. That's the one I want. Go to the Temple Mount, meat and cheese. Oh, half of these are about, why can't they eat meat and cheese? Why can't they eat meat and dairy, wool and linen? Why do they eat leavened bread? Okay, so these are helpful. I think Google sussed out all the dangerous ones. I feel like if we go to Truth Social, maybe that'll be a different response, a different auto finish about our lovely Jewish friends. So why can't Jews eat meat and dairy? Let's see. Jews cannot eat meat and dairy because it is a biblical prohibition found in the Torah, which states, "You shall not cook a kid in its mother's milk." Oh, okay. Yeah, right. So it's just a traditional thing that happened back in the day. More power to you if you do that. That's fine. That's your religious choice. But my friend Kenny Josephs from Brooklyn, New York, was not familiar with this thing. With this, and he didn't understand what the guy's problem was, and then further was confused because his the roommate, we'll use his first name, Nick, was in addition to being Orthodox Jewish, nothing wrong with that. What was wrong was that he was always late with the rent, even though he had a high-paying job that paid him. Like, he's one of these idiot dudes. The dude was a moron. The dude was a moron who got himself somehow you meet some of those morons that luck themselves into a fantastic job that you and I would kill. To some job where he was making six figures to do nothing. Like, I think he was working at one of those online universities, one of those jobs where I don't even think they knew what he did. They hired him and then forgot it, and his salary kept getting paid. But he was always, even though he made an astronomical amount of money compared to my friends Ray and Kenny. Yeah, I know who it is, Josh. I'm trying. Yeah, you can put that in the chat if you're in the chat. Yes. I did not mention his last name from a lack of remembrance. Or lack of memory. I was just trying not to get sued because the story I'm about to tell is not, me saying that the reason he was late was he was always busy. Hey, Omar, what's going on? I'm busy talking about religious hypocriticisms. And Wilfred Padilla, my man, my very funny comedian. So Nick was always late with his rent. Because he spent that money gambling, going to Atlantic City, gambling, and also on prostitutes. Not so much drugs. That he actually could have used drugs because he was a very anxious, annoying individual. Not due to any religious background. That's just who he was, who happened to be of a religious persuasion. And Kenny obviously was furious because this dude would be late and they'd threaten to kick him out. And he'd beg, please don't kick me out. Please don't kick me out. And Kenny was very confused. He's like, how can this guy be so religious? I mean, he's got the tassels and the book and the shofar and all that. He goes, why is he doing that? But how can he parcel the idea that he's super religious and yet he gambles and spends money on prostitutes or whores, if you will, the politically correct term? Working gals. I don't think the problem is gals is the problem. Sex workers, and sex work is work. But I just don't think it's okayed in the Torah. I don't think the Torah is like thumbs up. And Kenny didn't understand that. And I said, oh, that's because he's a maniac, Kenny. He's mentally defective. He has mental issues, but whatever religious thing he parcels, you don't understand, Kenny. He can gambling, prostitution, that's okay as long as that milk and cheese stay separated. You see, as long as the milk and cheese don't touch, he's fine. That's how he processes it in his own head, because he's a maniac and he needs help. And he's a terrible, crazy human being who I found out later on after by the way, Ray, after he was kicked out by Ray and Kenny for being a depraved lunatic. We found out, got married and has 2 kids. So the story has a happy ending. Not so much for the kids who are in for a real tough time, but it is wild to think that some woman. I'd like to hope it was a pretty woman situation and that the prostitute, maybe he met an Orthodox prostitute. Who knows? That's a nice meet cute. Oh, here's one. Here's another a weird one, a wild one. I in my solo days, and sometimes for the sake of what do you say, self-pleasure, self-enjoyment, alone time, I frequent some websites that deal in the BDSM and kink lifestyle. And I'm a dominant. I'll throw that out there, because people always assume I'm a submissive. I think because on account of how fat I am. That's another fatism that I don't think makes sense, but it is. Why am I talking about this? I shouldn't. I think my high school alma mater, are they still watching Tiger TV? No, they've checked out, which is good. The kids shouldn't see this. But it's their fault for tuning in. I don't know who has the password of that. My point is, there's a section there where they back in the single days, I would definitely peruse the group postings where it would be, I would be looking for a submissive girl who, it's a submissive looking for a dominant in the New York area. And it gets pretty wild up there. It gets pretty wild. I won't go into details. Hey, I'm looking to get somebody to do a tap dance on my bocce balls, whatever. I saw one. I walked by one in the New York section. Orthodox submissive male looking for a someone who is also rooted in faith to dom me. Let's just put it that way. And I thought, again, another wild thing to do, to be like, I'm completely faithful, and I know that Hashem has no problem with cock and ball torture. I think when I get to the, I guess they don't believe in the pearly gates of heaven, whatever, but I think Moses, none of those tablets said, you can't do water sports, right? I mean, nowhere in, I don't see it anywhere. The burning bush didn't say it, that's for sure. So we're good, right? We're good for me to solicit some woman to wear high heels and kick me as long as my yarmulke doesn't fall off. Like, I thought it was wild. Just wild. And listen, that's up to you, but I'm not doing all that from my end. I was raised religious for a hot minute until my grandfather was like, until I was old enough to not go anymore. And I just was like, yeah, that ain't happening. I'm playing hockey, bro. Listen, I'm a dirtbag. I'm a perv. I'm depraved, but I'm not, pretending that I'm a religious figure in that. And I think that's wild. And there's a lot more of that. There was somebody was trying, and he goes, I just want to find somebody to dominate me who's also religiously based. Imagine this, imagine like, it's, what are you doing? What are you doing at that point? Because that the book says you can't. I don't know how, and I feel bad for these dudes. Imagine being in the full leather harness and the mask, and you're waiting for you're waiting for the sun to go down before you can use the nipple clamps. It's wild to me, but people do it. Good for you. My friend Lainey Spicer is who I love. I love Lainey Spicer. Fantastic. She is a publicist. Anybody in this New York kind of podcast community knows and loves Lainey Spicer because she is a publicist for adult film stars of different persuasions. And but I remember I would texted her about some business that I was trying to attend to, and Lainey didn't get back to me. And Lainey's pretty quick. She's one of those that she's on her phone. Like, the second you text her, she always has that phone in her hand. God bless her. And she's really good and very sweet. But she goes, yeah, I was, it was Passover, and sorry, but I was observing Passover, which is like, she is the publicist of some of the most famous debaucherous adult film stars, and more power to her. And she's like, oh, nah, I gotta put, I'm always here trying to get these I'm trying to get the LGBT community, these trans adult film stars, trying to get them some more views, trying to get them some more clicks, but not during Rosh Hashanah. Like, okay. It's not mine to stop you. But it's interesting the line. I love Lainey to death. I'm not at all criticizing Lainey, nor my ex-girlfriend. Nick. I almost mentioned the last name, Josh. Nick, I am criticizing a little bit because he was a maniac. You can be religiously confused. You can be difficult to deal with, but don't be late on your rent. Don't be late on your rent and then bothering people that that your leftover McDonald's is too close to his butter. Catholics do it all the time. Catholicism is a wild one too, because at least Catholicism has that built-in system where you could commit all the sins you want, but as long as you do confession with the priest, they're supposed to give you like a penance, or it's supposed to be like a punishment, or like it's almost like religious community services, but it's really just prayers. You just got to do like Hail Marys. You got to do 4 prayers, which is, so what with that? Why wouldn't I? That doesn't seem like much of a punishment. I would definitely keep whacking off if I was a teenager and the only consequence was the Hail Mary. Although it is odd that you'd have to confess it to a priest that everybody knows, and now this priest. It is a different version of Scientology. Harry, have you ever considered becoming a dabber? What is that? Do you dabble? What is it? Is this like a? I'm sorry. Is this? Yeah, I think it's like a spam thing. Be dabbler. I don't know what that means. Okay, yeah, it's a spam thing. For a second, I don't know all the terms. I thought he mentioned religious. Do I dabble in religion? Do I dab? Yeah, I dab all the time when something goes great. Every time I please a woman, I bring her. I do one of those. That's the way I close out. And that, or I high five her, or do one of those Knicks 1990s chest bumps. But everyone has their own thing. The Catholicism. I remember Mike DiStefano was telling it. The late great Mike DiStefano. He grew up Catholic. He grew up around a bunch of gangsters too, and there was all this. Those guys all went to church. Ironically, those guys go to church more often than anybody because I think they really believe in it, which is strange to me that you'd think somehow that you just killed a guy because he owed you 20 grand from a football game. And you're like, St. Peter's like, well, as long as you did the confession with the local priest who may or may not have been removed several times, then you're good. You're good. Come on in. But Mike DiStefano was telling a story about, he and his cousin or something, that there's a guy who owed money and for their uncle or something. He goes, we beat the dog shit out of him and just like left him barely alive. And then we got into, just with a pipe, with a bat, kicking his ribs, breaking his legs, his kneecaps. Just violent stuff. And then when we got back in the car, my cousin threw out McDonald's bag out the window, and my uncle slapped him and said, "What are we, animals?" But that's the hypocrisy. That's what people do. I don't know. I don't know that I can. I'm trying to think if I do anything that's hypocritical. Not to that level. It's akin to being one of those Republican conservatives who's anti-LGBT, but then it turns out you're getting caught in bathroom stalls and on Grindr, shutting down Grindr every time. That Charlie Kirk funeral, they apparently the Grindr circuit board started smoking, which is weird because it's virtual, but somehow steam started coming off of it. Anytime conservatives gather together in mass, apparently Grindr goes wild. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull that up. Because I remember that's hilarious to me. That's the Republican National Convention for Grindr is like their Super Bowl. They make I don't know how they make a profit on it, but maybe Grindr Pro. Grindr Republicans. All right, let's see. Republican National. This is on Reddit, the first topic. Why does Grindr always crash when there's a Republican convention or a big event in town? I feel like you're not legitimately asking that question. You're just trying to throw it out. It's a question that you ask when you really don't like when you go, hey, why do you keep leaving these I can't even say that. That's just one of those questions that you ask that's really not a question but an accusation. Like when my girlfriend goes, so are you just going to leave those shoes there for the whole weekend? I don't think she really wants to know. Grindr app crashes during Milwaukee RNC. The Grindr app crashed at the Republican National Convention. Let me see if anything to do with the Charlie Kirk thing, because I thought that was fascinating. Because I understand the Republican National Convention, even if you're whatever, you want to let off a little steam. But the Charlie Kirk thing was supposed to be a funeral with pyro, but a funeral nonetheless. Charlie Kirk analysis. Let's see. Rumors of Grindr outage after Charlie Kirk. Viral claims that is that true? Are being refuted by the company. Oh, okay. I guess it didn't go. Okay. Grindr denies. All right, it didn't happen at the funeral. All right, people were able to keep it in their pants for the funeral, which is very nice. The only person who seemed to be titillated was Trump himself, who was grabbing that widow a little extra too hard. But hey, shoot your shot. Okay, actually, I didn't mean that way. Okay, that came out wrong. That is not what I meant. That's a double entendre. I just meant Trump shooting his shot. It's a good thing I don't have any viewers, because I would be canceled at this point for that comment alone. I mean, if they took out Jimmy Kimmel. That's the beauty of not having a career. You can't get canceled. Anyway, so let's get back on topic here. It is a topic about ADHD and family and how to address those issues. Okay, so now okay, oh damn it, I did it again. We are out of time, guys. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry to everyone who tuned in. I did not cure ADHD this week. That's on me. I think it was the Windows emulator threw me off. If we could have gotten the Windows emulator to work, I feel like then I wouldn't, I believe in the butterfly effect. I wouldn't gone off on these tangents about whatever, about religious hypocriticisms. There's always, as we say on this show every week, we'll get to it next week. Next week, we'll cure ADHD. Next week, we'll do it. And why me? Why not me? If RFK can find the cure for autism, apparently, then I certainly am qualified to find the cure for ADHD. I think it might be aspirin. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know. I'm just going to follow the attorney general and go. I think it might be Flintstone's chewable vitamins. I think that's what gave me the ADHD, because I certainly downed a bunch of those. So I am sorry that we did not cure ADHD. I genuinely apologize for that. That is unprofessional of me. But we'll try again next week if I get around to it. And, whatever disorder and condition you have, I hope that you join me next week. Please like and share and subscribe, especially if you're on this other platform from China. Definitely like and share. All I'm asking for is a couple likes. And do that. And until then, next week, I invite you to come back and come have ADHD with me. Come have ADHD with me. We'll see you guys next week. Good night. Good luck. God bless. There we go. Let's get I used to think I was dumb, but I discovered that I'm not dumb at all. No, I just suffer with a developmental disorder characterized by an ongoing pattern of one or more of the following types of chronic symptoms: attention difficulty, hyperactivity, and impulsiveness. Because I have ADHD!
That's the problem. Everybody's dancing. Yeah, I like